Now we're going to go back here and create another recipe to show you two things. The output node, again, just to cover what are the options for the output node, and the manual snapshotting of data. Now, before I go and show you how to do it in recipe, just a reminder, under Analytics Studio, when you hit create and you hit app, we do have snapshotting apps, so you can literally use this app that with point and click, right? So you can click on it, say hit continue. You can tells you you're gonna get a dashboard, templated dashboard, and a data set that tracks the data, what's changing in the data, and it allows you even to either snapshot an existing data set, and you select the fields and how long you're gonna keep it. Or you can even go all the way back to Salesforce objects and snapshot that. Now, so I highly recommend looking at this as an option if you think it fits your use case, or if you're not super familiar with the data transformations. But if you do like to do it the manual way, where we're going to go and create a recipe again. And let's say I want the same particular data set, the op owner account. So I'm going to hit select data right here. And even the advanced any data set is fine. But again, let's assume I have my op owner account, which is one opportunity. Who owns it? Which account belongs? What was that amount? What was the stage on this particular day, right? So I'm going to hit next. So again, reminder, this is being created by another recipe or another data flow that's being refreshed on a daily basis, or maybe multiple times a day. It doesn't matter. For this particular recipe, we are taking that data set that's being created, and once a day or once a week or once a month or twice a day, it depends on how you want to snapshot it, this particular recipe will run on its own schedule, regardless of how many times this data set is being refreshed. So again, this data set might be changing multiple times a day, but we chose, as a business, let's say, reason, I want to just snapshot it once a day. So this particular recipe at the end will be scheduled once a day. Now, what you want to do is first get that particular data set, add a transformation to add a stamp, add the date stamp. So we're going to hit transform. And I'm going to add a very simple formula that creates now, just returns the date. So I'm going to call this, my snapshot date right there. So I'm going to hit apply. And right now I have this data set prepped with a snapshot of today's date right there, 4/12, on every record. So if I look at this data set now, doesn't matter how many times it's being refreshed, but first time ever to take that snapshot, I'm going to add the snapshot date and then immediately create an output node. Now here's where I'm going to stop just to tell you about output nodes options. So of course, for output nodes, we have another data set. We have an output connection to the systems that we can push the data to, so that's Snowflake and S3 as of now, or even a CSV file. So I do encourage you, if you have options or you have requirements to export or push the data from TCRM outside, leverage these output nodes or output connection or CSV. Now, for our case, we are still going to, we want this data set, so I'm going to call it snapshot TS, of op owner account. Let's call it this way. Just a quick note also on the CSV, if you go to the help links there, so when we say you export it to CSV, it's not immediately into a CSV format. It goes back to an S object in Salesforce, and you can use something like Workbench to download that result, and you can even specify the batches or the number of the files that you need to download from that particular object. Then you can combine them into a final CSV. So again, the CSV is not literally a CSV output. It tells you which user, and you can specify the partitions, but it's going to go to a subject, and you can click on learn more. And Workbench is one API way to download that to those files. All right, we're going to go back to the data set, and I'm going to hit apply. And this, what happens now is this data set, the snapshot DS, does not exist. This is the first time I'm running it based on a live data set right here. So I'm going to hit save and run, and I'm going to allow it to run one time. Now, what it runs one time is going to create this data set for these records. For today's April 14, it's going to create all of this data, and I'm going to wait for the monitor here to finish. And I will have my first snapshotted data set, or the snapshot records. Once this finishes, I'm going to go back immediately to the recipe and adjust it a little bit, so now it starts appending the snapshots over the period of time that is snapshotting data. And as you can see, now it's done. So now this data set exists. That means if I go back here and say add select data, I should be able to see this new data set snapshot. What is it right here? Snapshot DS as of today, as of now. I'm gonna select this snapshot DS up owner account. I'm gonna hit next, and it's right here now available. What I'm gonna do is actually join it. I'm gonna append it. So this has a date for 12. This adds a date. So what I'm gonna do is, let me see if I can branch this here, or actually add a join. Let me see if I can add the join here. Yep. So I'm going to add the join. And this is actually, so this should have been append. This is not a join. Let me delete this really quick. Delete node. Delete node right here. Discard changes. So the reason I'm adding an append, because this is historical data. This is not data next to each other. These are snapshots. So it's actually an append. And think about it, this particular data set right now has op1 of April 12, amount, etc., op2, etc. And tomorrow when this runs and comes in, it's going to be 01 and 413, and we're going to append them. So they're going to be under each other. So this is my data set. First time I have 500 rows. Next time it runs, it's going to be maybe another 400, so now 900. Next time it's going to be 560, and so forth. So we are appending the data, we're not losing it. And it has a snapshot date, so everything works perfect. There's nothing I need to change. All what I have to do here is, let me just open that window, that's the problem right here. And I'm going to say, yep, these fields match, because it's an append, so that means which fields go under which fields. Everything is the same, everything looks fine. I'm going to hit apply, and now I have my recipe. Once I hit save right here, all what's left is to go back to that recipe. You don't run it now because I just ran it. It has now all of these rows, 500 let's say, and it's waiting for next time. So now when I go back to data manager, or just click here, and I go back to that particular recipe, the snapshot. Okay, I need to click on recipes. And when I look at snapshot right here, snapshot DS up owner account, I'm going to say from tomorrow, start scheduling. I can even have event based on the sync, but because this is snapshot, I do want to control it, maybe every day, let's say. And I can say, you know what, every hour in the particular day, or every week, which day on the week. And this is how I'm going to get the snapshot data there. And one more thing to say also on this one is, as you start getting a lot of data, the good thing that we have now is snapshot date. So let's say you hit a billion or 500 million and say that's enough, or you say I just want to keep 1 year worth of data, then you can create another recipe, load this input data somewhere else, so you will have it right there. You will add a filter on that particular snapshot day less than a year ago, and then restore it or re-register it in the same name. So now you've kind of cleaned up the data. So this is why manual snapshotting some folks kind of like, because they do have that extra flexibility if they need to control that data.